Tonight, we are following major and highly sensitive developments out of the Middle East. Former U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli sources are claiming that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead. At this hour, however, there is no independent confirmation from multiple international news agencies, and Iranian state media has not issued a clear, consistent statement verifying those claims. This is a rapidly developing situation, and much of the information remains contested. Here's what we know so far. According to statements attributed to Donald Trump, intelligence shared with him suggests that Khamenei has died under circumstances that have not yet been fully disclosed. Israeli officials, speaking through unnamed security sources, have echoed similar claims, suggesting that the Iranian leader may have been killed or has died following an undisclosed security or military event. However, as of this broadcast, no official announcement has been made by the Iranian government confirming the death. Iran's state-controlled media outlets have reportedly gone silent for extended periods, fueling speculation. At the same time, some regional journalists report increased security presence in Tehran, particularly around key government and religious sites. The lack of clarity is contributing to global uncertainty. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has served as Iran's supreme leader since 1989, succeeding the country's first supreme leader, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, following the 1979 Islamic Revolution. For more than 3 decades, Khamenei has been the most powerful figure in Iran, overseeing the military, judiciary, state broadcasting, and major political decisions. Unlike Iran's president, who is elected, the supreme leader holds ultimate authority over state matters. The position controls strategic military decisions, foreign policy direction, and religious oversight. Any sudden change in that leadership would represent one of the most significant geopolitical developments in decades. Former President Trump made his remarks during a public appearance, stating that intelligence sources indicated that Khamenei was no longer in power and suggesting that the United States and its allies were closely monitoring the situation. Israeli sources, meanwhile, have described what they call a major shift in Iran's leadership structure, though they have not provided verifiable evidence or detailed explanation. It is important to emphasize that intelligence claims in situations like this can be preliminary, politically motivated, or based on incomplete data. Historically, reports regarding the health or status of high-profile leaders have sometimes emerged prematurely. So what is happening inside Iran right now? In Tehran, reports from journalists and diplomats suggest heightened security across government compounds and near the supreme leader's residence. The capital city, Tehran, is known for tightly controlled state messaging during moments of crisis. Iran's supreme leader rarely appears publicly without significant planning and state coordination. If Khamenei were to die, protocol would typically involve a carefully staged announcement, followed by a national mourning period and succession procedures overseen by the Assembly of Experts. The Assembly of Experts is the clerical body responsible for appointing the next supreme leader. Its deliberations are often conducted behind closed doors. There has been no visible session of that body reported so far. The White House has declined to confirm Trump's remarks, and officials at the U.S. State Department have stated only that they are closely monitoring developments. The Pentagon has also not issued a confirmation, though defense officials have acknowledged an increase in surveillance and monitoring activities across the region. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has not publicly addressed the claims directly, but has reiterated that Israel remains vigilant regarding Iran's military and nuclear activities. For decades, Iran and Israel have been engaged in a shadow conflict involving cyber operations, proxy forces, and intelligence operations across the Middle East. The potential death of Khamenei would have profound implications for that ongoing rivalry. It could alter Iran's strategic posture, impact its nuclear program, and reshape alliances across the region. Khamenei has been at the center of Iran's resistance strategy against Western sanctions, American military presence, and Israeli security operations. Under his leadership, Iran expanded its influence through regional proxies, including groups operating in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, formerly known as the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, plays a critical role in Iran's military and economic power structure. The IRGC answers directly to the supreme leader, not the president. If Khamenei is indeed dead, control over the IRGC becomes a central question. Would leadership transition smoothly to a chosen successor, or could internal factions compete for power? Iran's political system combines religious authority with military and political institutions. While it presents a unified front externally, analysts have long debated the internal divisions between hardline clerics, military leadership, and reformist political elements. The sudden absence of a supreme leader could expose those divisions. At the international level, the reaction has been cautious. The United Nations has not issued an official statement but has emphasized the need for stability in the region. European leaders have similarly urged restraint and called for verified information before drawing conclusions. The European Union released a brief statement saying it is monitoring developments in Iran with concern and encouraging transparency and calm. Financial markets have reacted modestly, with oil prices experiencing slight fluctuations amid uncertainty. Iran remains a significant energy producer, and instability could affect supply expectations. Meanwhile, social media has amplified unverified claims, with conflicting reports spreading rapidly. Some Iranian accounts suggest the supreme leader is alive and will address the nation soon. Others point to unusual security movements as evidence that something significant has occurred. In previous years, rumors regarding Khamenei's health have circulated periodically. The supreme leader, now in his mid-80s, has faced questions about succession planning before. However, no prior rumor has reached this level of international attention tied to direct claims by high-profile foreign leaders. To understand the magnitude of this moment, it's important to examine what the supreme leader role represents. Unlike most heads of state, Iran's supreme leader serves for life. The position carries both religious legitimacy and political authority. The office oversees Iran's armed forces, intelligence apparatus, judiciary, and key economic foundations. The president of Iran operates within parameters set by the supreme leader. Therefore, the death of Khamenei would mark not just the passing of a leader, but potentially a turning point for the Islamic Republic itself. If confirmed, the next phase would likely unfold in several stages. First, an official announcement accompanied by nationwide mourning ceremonies. Second, temporary leadership arrangements managed by senior clerics and constitutional mechanisms. Third, selection of a successor by the Assembly of Experts. Names that have been discussed by analysts in past succession scenarios include senior clerics with close ties to the current establishment. However, succession in Iran is rarely transparent, and internal deliberations could take time. Another critical question is how regional actors would respond. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Gulf states would closely watch for shifts in Iran's foreign policy. The United States would assess whether a leadership transition creates an opportunity for renewed diplomatic engagement or increased instability. Israel would evaluate potential security risks, particularly regarding Iran's nuclear program and regional proxies. Iran's nuclear negotiations with Western powers have been stalled for years. Khamenei's guidance has been central to Iran's negotiating posture. A new leader could maintain continuity or choose a different path. The uncertainty also affects internal Iranian society. Iran has experienced periodic protests over economic conditions, governance issues, and social freedoms. Leadership transitions can either reinforce state control or open space for reform movements, depending on how they are managed. At this hour, however, it remains critical to separate confirmed fact from political statement. Donald Trump's claim, while significant, does not constitute official U.S. government confirmation. Israeli sources, while influential, have not provided public evidence. Iranian authorities have not released a definitive statement confirming death. In highly sensitive geopolitical situations, governments often manage information strategically. False reports can emerge. Intelligence can be misinterpreted. Political messaging can influence timing and framing. For viewers in the West, it is important to approach this developing story with caution and awareness of competing narratives. If confirmed, the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei would represent the end of an era in Iranian politics. His tenure has spanned U.S. administrations from George H.W. Bush to Joe Biden, shaping decades of confrontation and limited diplomacy between Washington and Tehran. He has overseen Iran through war, sanctions, nuclear negotiations, regional expansion, and domestic unrest. His influence on Middle Eastern geopolitics cannot be overstated. Yet until confirmation arrives through credible, consistent channels, the situation remains unresolved. Journalists on the ground continue to monitor official Iranian broadcasts for signs of a formal announcement. Diplomatic channels remain active. Military forces in the region are reportedly on heightened awareness, though there are no indications of immediate escalation. As this story develops, clarity will depend on transparent statements from Iranian leadership or credible international verification. In moments like this, speed of information often outpaces certainty. We will continue to follow official confirmations, government responses, and expert analysis as more details emerge. For now, the key points are these. Donald Trump and Israeli sources are claiming that Iran's supreme leader is dead. There is no independent confirmation at this time. Iran has not formally verified the claim. Global leaders are urging caution. Regional stability hangs in the balance. This is a developing story, and updates are expected in the coming hours. We will bring you confirmed information as soon as it becomes available. Stay with us for continued coverage. Subscribe for reliable updates as more verified information becomes available. If you found this report helpful, give it a like to support independent news coverage and join the conversation below.